Alright, what's the deal? This is your boy J Mike, and I'm giving the 2018 Raw Nationals recap. As many of you guys know, this is the most prestigious meet that we have in the USA for us drug-tested lifters. So this carries a lot of prestige. This year we were in Spokane, Washington. To be 100% honest with you, going into this, I was trying to figure out why in the hell we were going to Spokane. But I will say that it was a beautiful city, and it actually played well as a host. I would like to thank some of the people that actually allowed me to make it so that I was able to go there, which would be A7 Apparel, Noble Vice Performance, as well as Lockjaw Collars. You know, without sponsors and things of that nature, lifting on this level becomes very, very hard. And those guys make it actually easier for me to move around the world lifting weights. All right, so let's get into it. Just to be 100% honest with you, I felt a little disrespected going into this particular meet due to the fact of how they spoke down on all the 120 pluses, even the 120s even. Because you have Ray, who's probably the greatest power lifter of his day. Most definitely, if you talk about the drug-tested side of it, he's the best ever. And you have Dennis Cornelius, who also can have a claim to be the best ever. So if you're not one of those guys, it's kind of easy to get overlooked sometimes. But the one thing that I kept saying throughout this prep is that powerlifting is actually 3 events, and one of those events I'm the best in the world, or the best in North America, that is. So I felt that maybe the way they spoke about it wasn't done correctly. Just dealing with the fact that I'm a master lifter, 1, and then 2, my bench is deadly. It's the best in the game in our world. So I just felt that it deserved a little more respect, and it didn't get it. So that kind of fueled me a little bit. But going into this, just go straight into the prep or whatnot. I came off of Summerfest. Actually, rewind that. I came off of IPF Worlds this year, where my total would have placed me top 3 in the open division. And that's another reason why I felt a little disrespected. The fact that I put up a number that would have placed me top 3 in the world, and I didn't get talked about, or people didn't mention, or I was just one of those other guys. So that was one of those other things. But then right after that, I had a revelation on my squat, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a meet. So I did a meet 2 weeks after IPF Worlds, and I had a all-time high of a 750-pound squat, and I was trying to build on that. And if you started watching any of my posts, I started posting 1,000 kilo at Raw Nationals, 770 squat, look out for it. Because I actually thought that I was going to build on the, the 619.5 bench press and the, 750 squat, but that didn't happen. As many people know now, my son was diagnosed with brain cancer a week after Summerfest. So there was no training. Everything became, get my son healthy, making sure that he's okay. So training went out the door. I didn't even want to train. I just, we went to 3 to 5 doctors daily, 3 to 10 doctors daily, with meeting with different surgeons and things of that nature, dealing with his unique brain cancer. So I didn't have it in me really to train. But my son is very resilient. If you didn't know better, you didn't think anything was wrong with him. He ate 33 rounds of radiation treatment, and watching him, go down there every day just gave me strength to start training. And I actually mustered up the strength to start pushing some weight, especially on squat. But in doing so, I was squatting high the entire prep. So that kind of played out in my training as well as on meet day, because I didn't know how to really get into the training groove, but I just forced my way through, and that's kind of how it went down. Excuse me. But in this particular prep, I actually squatted 760 pounds for a lifetime PR. I also bench press 606. I did 750 deadlift maybe, or 738 deadlift. And to be honest with you, with me picking up squatting so late in the prep, I really didn't deadlift. So I might have deadlift 3 times the entire prep. So I kind of know what I'm capable of just where I am now. And I'm like a 750, 760 pound deadlifter if all things go well. So I really wasn't predicting pushing a big deadlift, but I did believe that I had a shot at getting something big on the bench and squat. So as we get into leaving for Raw Nationals and whatnot, I fly out on Thursday morning. I land Thursday afternoon and whatnot. Everything was well. I got to the venue, spoke to my sponsors, A7, Noble Vice, checked in, and everything was cool. But the one thing that people don't understand about some of these larger meets, it's not about putting up a huge total. When you play at my level, you're playing for getting on the world team. You're playing to make sure you secure your spot so you can become a world champion. So it kind of changes the normal tendencies to try to go big at nationals, So based on what I did in training, based on what I'm capable of, my openers all change. I actually talked to the Team USA coach Paulie before, when I went and did check-ins or whatever, and he told me, he said, "Jason, your number one goal here is to get on the team." And once he said that, and the way he said it, it kind of was like, don't do anything stupid. Just do what you have to do to get on the team. Now, the way this stuff works out, and I'll see if I can paint a picture. You have Ray Williams, you have Dennis Cornelius, right? 2 of the greatest powerlifters of all time. And in a funny way, I'm like right in the middle of them, right? If I were to ever go down to 120, I have Dennis. And if I ever went up, which I am, but I'm super small, I'm like 100 and some pounds smaller than the guys who are really competitive at the super heavyweights, I have Ray in them. And that's not going to happen. So for long-term success, at some point, I'm going to have to go down. Now, this was the first meet where, or actually might have been the second, where Dennis did not do Raw Nationals. If I would have had information about this earlier, I would have cut to 120 and taken my shot at the 120 title and try to get on the team. But with that being said, sometimes I just get overlooked being in the middle of these 2 guys. Every year I'm in the top 3 totals coming into Raw Nationals, but sometimes, some kind of way, I'm always left out of the conversation. And I think it's because these guys are so great. It's not that Ray doesn't have any competition. It's more or less that he has no competition for no one. Like, he is the best in the world. So it's like you kind of just have to look at him differently. So in some ways, some people actually came up. All right, so this year, the storyline that people were trying to actually develop was to try to make some sort of mystique going on in the lifters in the 120 plus and up. And that was me versus Joseph Pena, the young upstart, or the young world champion, who is close to 1,000-pound squatter. He's very young. He's like 20 years old. So it was like the old bull versus the young bull. And to be honest with you, based on what we did at IPF Worlds, I believe I out-totaled him by 31 kilos or something like that, something close to that. And I didn't find that disrespectful, but it was just kind of funny that, some people actually were picking him to beat me. So I kind of used that for motivation going forward, which in all actuality, it's only a matter of time before I won't be able to hold this kid off in terms of contention at some of these kind of high profile meets. But I took it as a challenge, and my game plan originally was going around trying to make sure that I won second place. But as time went on, the goal became less about finishing second to Ray, but more about making sure I beat Grant Higa for the master spot. And that's kind of how this stuff actually plays out. So as we get into the competition, you know, my original openers was like 705 on squat, 573 on bench, and 700 pounds on deadlift, right? And I know that if I just hit my openers, that should put the Masters title out of reach. And it's just one of those things where I have such an advantage on bench press over Grant that it's kind of like you can't do anything. Only thing that can happen if I make a mistake. So the mistake would have been opening at like 705 or 700 on squat, and let's say me not getting it, and then I bomb out the meet and he walks right through the Masters national title, which is important to me. So I lowered my opener to 300 kilos, and going into that, I didn't think I would have a problem with 300 kilos, but after warm-ups, I knew I was on, and I knew it was going to look ridiculous, and it did. When I took the 300 kilos, it was like nothing. It was like pure water. It was like I shouldn't even done it. It was like a last warm-up or a second to last warm-up in the warm-up room. But what that did do is give me a lot of confidence going forward, because I know now as long as I hit my openers, I should have the Masters title wrapped up just based on the numbers that have been being produced beforehand. So if I go 660, 573, and 700 pounds, I believe that total was more than what Grant did at IPF World. So, but at the same time, you talk about a person who squatted over 750 pounds before, who benched over 450 pounds before, and has pulled 730, 740 plus. So anything can happen. So I just try to make sure that I did just enough to secure my spot. Now, with that, I'm actually probably throwing these other guys as lifts as well. But you have Ray, who comes out and misses his first lift, right? So it's like, oh shit, I'm about to win the world national title if Ray bombs out. But I kind of knew that wasn't going to happen. But then Pena, I'm not 100% sure what his numbers are, but I'll probably put the video here. I believe he hits his opener and he hits his second attempt as well. And when this happens, it's kind of a tick for tat thing, but I'm going in front of them. So the thing with Pena is that my goal was to make sure I stayed 200 pounds, within 200 pounds of his squat. And I know that the 200 pounds that I stay within, I'll be able to catch up on bench press, and then I'm a better puller, so I'll be able to pull for the win. All right, so I'll put their second lifts in. But anyway, we go to my second attempt. And my second attempt normally is 700 pounds, and then I take a jump. But what I did at Summerfest, I actually opened at 700 and then jumped to 733 and then 750. Technically, that plan would have probably worked out best for me at this particular meet. But with the way things were structured in terms of trying to make sure I made the team, I opened at 660 pounds and then jumped to 717, which is a huge jump. But I hit the 717 with not much issue. But looking at it on video, it looked a lot tougher than I thought it would be and what it should have been. So I get the 717 and I decide to go for 750 pounds, and I was going to chip the American Masters record. But since it doesn't matter who's there, I think I'm the best in America doing this. So it's like I have all the confidence in the world. But going through warm-ups, I felt solid. Everything felt good. Everything felt good. And I get to my last warm-up, and I warmed up with 507, and I catch the huge cramp. And I'm like, oh, crap. I'm not going to be able to do my setup with my hamstring just tightening up like this. And once that happened, I knew I was in trouble on bench press. And I was considering lowering my opener. But if you watch my training videos, you know that I do a lot of legs up bench pressing. So this happens with me a lot with cramping, so I kind of was prepared for it. So I was like, you know what? If I can't bench 573, I don't deserve to be here. So went out there with 573 pounds as my opener, and I was able to get it. But if you look at the video, it wasn't clean. It looked nothing like the 573 that I did in Calgary. So I kind of knew I was in trouble, but at the same time, I came to bench at least 600 pounds. So I load 600 pounds on there. And when I couldn't get set properly, I kind of knew that I just didn't have it. It barely came up. So I just went ahead and decided to pass on my third attempt and just get ready for deadlifts. So with this being the case, I'm not sure what Pena bench press, and I believe Ray bench press like 530 or 540. So things are playing out how they're going to play out. But I'm like out of the competition. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm about to hit my opener. I said, what do I need to make sure that I secure the Masters title, which will be my third consecutive title in a row? And I believe the number was like, it could have been 620 or something. I probably could have got 600 and still won the title. But I was like, you know what? Let's go at 300 kilos again. So I went with 300 kilos, destroyed 300 kilos. And I'm like, you know what? So what do I need for 2000? So at the time, I think I needed 711 for 2000. But at the same time, Joseph Pena is going through his meet as well. And he's ahead of me by 2 kilos going into the second attempts. And if they would have put in, if my team would kind of made a mistake, but if my team would have put in the correct number of 711, I probably would have passed on my third attempt and allowed Pena to go ahead and pull his third for the win. But they wound up putting in 705. So what it did was it made me short of 2000. And I never try to go through these kind of meets without a 2,000 pound total. So it forced me to take a third attempt. And when this happens, this is where the drama happens. You know, Ray hits his deadlift. Ray I think is going for a 400 kilo deadlift, and it's basically between Pena and I for second place. So the drama kind of plays out. I believe Pena goes for close to 700 pounds. He might have been 694, and he needed that to try to push me to have to pull. But at the time of the lift, he was already up 2.5 kilos. Now, this was kind of a funny spot to be in because I'm the better puller of the two, but they only went to 694, whatever the number was they chose to pull. They probably should have pushed it, or probably try to max him out to probably 710 or something, or whatever the case may be, because they had a 2.5 kilo advantage, and that would have forced me to have to put on X amount of pounds on the bar. So when I said, well, look, what do I need, you know, for the win? And it wound up being 733 pounds, which is a very easy lift for me. But in training, you know, the most I got up to, I believe this particular prep clean was 727, and I put that on the bar and it was like nothing. It was like I could have taken it as an opener. So I wound up tying Joseph Pena on body weight. So we both, I think, finished with 917.5 kilos, and I get the win because of body weight. So it was actually a funny story. So if my team would have actually put the correct number in from the get, I would have never attempted the third attempt. I would have let it go because I was actually tired. I was emotionally drained, and I was basically checked out of it already. After the squats, I was done. But since that didn't happen like that, it forced me to take my third, and I wound up finishing second to Ray Williams in the Open. I'm not sure if I'll put this in the clip, but Ray went on to go for a 400 kilo deadlift at the end, and he actually missed. But that being said, this Raw Nationals was very exciting because, one, this was my best finish in the Open, which was second place to the #1 powerlifter in the world or ever, and I won my third consecutive Masters title. I believe the first year, I don't get credit for the national title because I won as a funny master. I was like 39, but I won the spot. So I've won 3 consecutive national titles as a master, and I will go and defend my world title at IPF Worlds in Sweden, and I look forward to three-peating there as well. But overall, this was a great experience. I didn't have a great meet. I wound up totaling 2,022, which wound up being the second highest total of any of the lifters there. As a master lifter, and under the circumstances that I had to play with this year, I'll take it, you know. But look forward to me putting up some big ass numbers coming soon. I think I figured something out with my squat. My deadlift looks like it's probably coming around, and don't be surprised that, you know, if I put up a huge number as a 120, because now the goal is for next year to be a 120 at Raw National, especially if Dennis Cornelius is not going to be participating. I have a shot at winning the 120 title. So that's the goal, to try to get strong at 120 and try to win a 120 title in the very near future. But also, one of the things that happened at this particular meet, my collaboration with A7 has finally come to fruition. These wraps are absolutely beautiful. You know, we're still in the sample range with these, but these are probably the best looking wraps you'll ever see, and they have a lot of the touches that I was looking for. So these are almost 100% ready, and you know, if you guys are fans of mine and, you know, value my input, these will be the go-to wraps for you guys going forward. A lot of work and hard work has gone into creating these. I'm talking about from the width of the Velcro, to the stretch, to the mold, to the catch side of the Velcro. Everything was thought out with this particular set of wraps. So that's all that we have going forward. I'd just like to say thank you to all those who followed my journey and you know, supported, and, you know, good well wishes for my son. I just like to say thank you. But don't let the fact that I'm a 41-year-old master lifter stop you from thinking that I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. I get stronger by the year, and I just need to finish up the year that I started. Right now, I'm still the #1 bencher in the USAPL based on Wilkes, and that's over TD, that's over Jen Thompson, that's over all the people. So I'm actually trying to hold on to that. But there's a guy out in Florida who's probably going to do a meet very soon who may push the Wilkes number pretty high. But that being said, I'm trying to close the year out. I may do one more meet to try to get a 2,100 pound total before the year is up. Other than that, I'm just getting ready for the Arnold. We're like 19 weeks out, and I'd just like to say I appreciate, you know, all the support for people who have been following me. But other than that, that's pretty much what my Raw Nationals 2018 wound up being. And yeah, that's it. But be on the lookout for my wrist wraps next year, early this year, around Black Friday or something like that. We got a whole game plan with these, so you'll see the whole rollout, and I think you guys will enjoy it. But once again, this is J Mike, One Athletic Freak, Mr. Athletic over everything on Instagram. Later. Hey, I didn't get a chance to put this in an actual video clip, but see, we'll put this in there now. I decided not to take a deadlift before the meet. Instead, I chose to do a dunk or a couple of dunks to see where my explosiveness was, and I'll throw that in this video as well. So excuse me, this was a very good indicator on how explosive I was going to be. And like I've said before, my dunking and my deadlift go hand in hand, and if my dunking is explosive, my deadlift will be as well. So I decided to put that in here right now. So I don't know if I'm going to separate this or not. There you go.